All right. So since you guys think that like you're profitable gamblers, we're going to look at a video pretty much on how it works from a bookie's point of view. A bookie somebody like a DraftKings or a FanDuel, but they're just one person, not mad people. I'm not a big bettor myself cuz every time I try to do it, I lose. So I don't even bother with the shit anymore, bro. It fucking pisses me off, but let's take a look.
My name is Owen Hansen. I was a football star at USC and then ran one of the biggest illegal sports betting businesses in America. This is how crime works. I was in illegal sports betting back in the early 2007 all the way till my arrest in 2015. In the illegal gambling industry, there's close to $673 billion a year that's gambled. The biggest wager
That's all of our money, by the way. All that 600 billion is just fucking blue collar worker people coming off their lunch break trying to hit a football parlay for millions. Just to let you know, that's $5 lotto tickets. Like, as in lottery tickets, I mean like shit probably ain't gonna happen. That's 5 12 legs, just millions of times.
Took was $250,000 on a Super Bowl bet, and eventually, once I started taking bets from the cartel, the bets became bigger and bigger. It took me to sober up to realize, like, wow, what the f*** was I doing? I was recruited by USC in 1999, 2000 for volleyball, and I got offered a volleyball scholarship. 2 years later, walking onto the USC football team. I was a tight end for the 2003 and 2004 national championship team, and I was on special teams as well. My first job interview I had, and it was for a big real estate developer out of Los Angeles. I showed up with my national championship ring, and he hired me on the spot. He said, man, I want you part of my team. So, right out of college, 2004, 2005, I'm, making almost six figures, and I'm getting paid commissions on any deals I bring in, and life was good, right? That's what you go to school for. You go to USC for the networking, and that's what I did. I networked with everybody. I had this Rolodex, and I would keep their phone number, keep their email, and always put it in my mind. Dad's proud, mom's proud. Everyone's looking at me like, wow, the golden boy, the SC golden boy. He graduated. He's working for a developer. He's going to be the man one day. And then that recession hit, 2007. And I remember I was like the first one or two guys to go. And obviously growing up as a kid, you watch, the great movies like Goodfellas and Casino and Scarface. So I was like, man, what if I could be a bookie? I went to my Rolodex, and I remember my dad had a friend that was Italian that was a bookmaker. And I was like, man, maybe if my dad will understand the situation that I lost my job, maybe he'll introduce me to his friend. And I kept begging my dad, and finally I think after like the 15th time, my pops is like, all right, one meetup with Tony and that's it. We met at this underground bar, and it was like a basement. I walked in, and I gave Uncle Tony an Italian kiss on each side. I said, I got the perfect network, man. Let me utilize it. He says, man, listen, I'll see what you can do. I'm going to my friends that are now in the NFL. I'm going to my friends that are, working on Wall Street, and everyone's starting to bet with me. And the first 6 months, on one player, this big contractor, commercial contractor, he lost $1 million in cash. I got paid $200,000 commission. And I went back to Uncle Tony. I said, Tony, man, I'm doing all the work, man. You guys are taking 80%. I said, you got to let me, these are my customers. Let me get a little more, man. He goes, I can't do it. And that day forward, I said, okay, you can't do it? No problem. I'm going to figure out a way to do it myself. Jan Portocarrero, was my mentor in the sports betting. He was the boss of Uncle Tony. He was with Macho Sports. I got my hands dirty. I flew offshore. I'm watching and I'm learning. And everything that happens, I'm paying attention to, because I'm putting in my mind, okay, this is how I'm going to build mine when I go to Costa Rica and build my own. You got this guy moving the lines. You got this guy answering the phones for VIP customers. You got Debbie and Tina answering the phones. Okay, I get it. Now I understand what I need to build. And they got busted, I believe, in 2013 under a Macho Sports RICO indictment.
They literally gambling was illegal, but the government sees there's that chicken. They're like, hold on, it's legal, but let us do it. Shit's crazy, bro.
For illegal bookmaking. And then as soon as they got taken down, my network expanded tenfold. You know, I went to every customer he had and said, hey, Macho Sports is no longer in town, but BetOdog is, and that's when my company blew up. I flew to Costa Rica, which was the mecca of sports betting, and I went to every office in San Jose, and I said, hey, I know you guys do call centers down here for sports betting. What do I got to do? And, you know, I went to 20 different offices, and I found one that was in a town called Playa Hermosa. I started to pay a service where I'd pay like $10 for each customer that gambled with me. I started my website called betodog.com. My nickname was Odog in college. So you get to basically create your own domain. You get a 800 phone number, and you can start acting as a bookie. So one outfit can manage, you know, hundreds of different bookies. So I started my business like that, where I'm paying a weekly fee, and now I'm the book. So I'm collecting all the money. I'm only taking little bets, like $1,000 here, $1,100 here, $200 here. I was like, okay, I got to figure out a better strategy. So I went back to Costa Rica. We ended up setting up our own office where I had my own people that were under my payroll that moved the lines specifically to Las Vegas. And I had my managers that handled all my VIP customers that would answer the phone directly. Hey, this is BetOdog. How can I help you? Oh, hi, Mr. Drew. What's your password? Okay, how can I help you, Mr. Drew? So it was more of a custom feeling, and they weren't betting with this per head count site. I was able to start recruiting all over the United States, and I started to become one of the biggest bookies throughout Los Angeles, expanding to Texas, to Florida, North Carolina, and I got pretty much in every state. I was in illegal sports betting back in the early 2007.
I'm not even putting in a parlay with some, like, if I find out this guy is running the gambling scene, I'm not putting in a parlay. Look at him. He's taking your money. It's common sense.
All the way till my arrest in 2015. Sports betting became legal in 2018. It became legal on a state-by-state basis, and it eliminated the federal ban. The difference between legal sports betting and illegal sports betting is very simple. Illegal bookmaker usually is offshore, has a website that's ran through usually Costa Rica, Panama, and you call an 800 number, or you place your bet through an app that's offshore. Illegal sports betting website is, you put your credit card down, there's a know your customers form you have to fill out, and everything's monitored, and you pay taxes on that money. The sports betting world that I was in, was obviously illegal. It was offshore. I would give a line of credit, meaning that if you wanted to play with me, it was like an American Express credit card. I give you, say, a $10,000 line of credit. That's week to week. And come Monday, once the last Sunday night football game is graded, you pay me, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday the following week. And if you don't pay me, then, we obviously have to go to other matters, whether it's, making phone calls or sending someone to pick up the money. And that's what's different from today's, legal sports betting. When you're gambling through like the BetMGM or FanDuel, any of the big outfits, you put a credit card up or you deposit cash, and that makes it legitimate. So the casinos or the sports books nowadays never have to worry. They give so much more credit as far as like free play. So if you deposit $1 million, then you get $100,000 in free play. As a bookie, we offered the same thing, but we're giving you a line of credit. So you have to basically lose the money before we collect. I played on 2 national championship football teams. So when I would go to a sports fan, whether, most people in the sports betting industry always bet on football. So I'd be like, hey, I was part of the last 2 national championships at USC. I'd show them the ring. I'd show them a picture of Reggie Bush and I, Matt Leinart and I, Carson Palmer, Troy Polamalu, and they'd be like, wow. And I would use that network because everybody that gambled had some kind of liking to sports, and it was mostly football. So it was very easy to pull that card. Yeah, the clientele business was always a referral base.
Easy to pull a card. Yeah, let me get Carson Palmer for over. I got 100,000. Yo, Carson, this guy wants to put $100,000 on you for the over. Just do me a favor, go under this game, but don't make it look too obvious. Just go like throw a pick or two, maybe act like your wrist is hurt. I'll give you 50 bands. I know it ain't really nothing you, but shit, free 50, am I right? All right, I'll see you, man. That easy. I mean, if you know NFL players, it's so easy if you're a fucking owner of a sports betting company. How wouldn't it be easy? If my boy was Lamar Jackson, and somebody had a parlay with Lamar Jackson, I'm gonna just call him up. Like, yo, yeah, bro, you hurt today. All right, you hurt. Just act hurt. Easy pickings, bro. Easy pickings.
It always would start small. You know, one guy would say, hey, you should bet with O-Dog at Bet O-Dog. He played at USC. And sometimes you would get these guys called whales, and they'd come in and they're like, man, I was a big Leinart fan. I'm like, oh, you're a Leinart fan? No. Well, listen, who do you gamble with? Oh, you bet with 5 dimes? I said, well, you bet with Bet O-Dog. I'll introduce you to Leinart, and I'll get you a signed football. How's that? So I'd call Matt up and, hey, I need a signed football. And, hey, where are you at next week? So I'd call my future customer, and be like, hey, I'm going to introduce you to Leinart, and we'd go meet him at the bar or at a restaurant, and just these guys would be blown away because I had that kind of relationship, and it was so easy for me and get people to switch over to my site. My first whale that I pulled in was a general contractor. He was extremely large in the commercial construction space. When I was working at the real estate developer's office, this contractor would always step outside, and I would hear him betting on sports. I went back to him and I told him, hey, I know you gamble. I said, what if I gave you 10% off your losses and 20% free play? And I didn't care at the time because I just wanted his business. And from there, it just was referral basis. You know, I ended up getting 3 guys that were project managers underneath him at the office that were making $250,000 a year in construction and giving me about half of that in their paychecks. The bets started getting big right after Macho Sports got busted, and the biggest wager I took was $250,000 on a Super Bowl bet. In the beginning, when I first started this operation, I was like, man, I'm gonna lose my whole nest egg, right? And then eventually you realize the house doesn't lose. I've never had a losing year. You know, a lot of athletes and celebrities chose me because I was very discreet, right? You when you're betting and you're a professional athlete, you don't want to be known that you're betting. With me, it was like you could go to the country club, have a round of golf with me, and if you beat me the week before, I'd be there with, you know, a bag of cash to give you, and you wouldn't have to have a wire. You wouldn't have to have your wife know. You wouldn't have a text message saying, hey, you know, here's what you owe. It would just be, I was very discreet, and I made it so it was comfortable for them. You know, college athletes, you got to remember, I went to USC, so they had daddy's credit card, that American Express Black Card. I always tell people, we can use that for anything. I would have these guys, you know, put $100,000 that they owed me on a Home Depot charge. That would be, you know, $100,000 in material I have for a real estate project I'm doing. So I would never turn down a method. So if a guy couldn't pay me in cash, I would say pay me in gold or pay me with a watch. You know, I can't remember how many watches I got paid, whether it was a Rolex or AP. I've even got paid in a...
Gambling, man. Degenerate gamblers, bro. That's why you gotta stop, bro. Everybody's gotta stop gambling, bro. I'll tell you what. You just gotta stop gambling. Everybody's gotta stop gambling for 1 year, and then we'll see how the games play out. We should try that. Everybody should try that. Don't give FanDuel, DraftKings, don't give none of them no money for 1 year and see what happens. Imagine they shut the NFL down.